That almost sounds like a news thing, Chris. But welcome everyone to Cisco Canada's virtual kitchen show. It's Restaurant Tech Show, as we call it. Chris,
the Restaurant Tech Show.
the
Yeah.
Restaurant Tech Show. You want to
How you
make
doing
it sound
today,
like so
Jay?
serious? I am having a great day. It's a beautiful day. It's not cold out up here. We've got amazing guests today, and then later on today, we have a celebrity chef on the show. So we're you know what? These are celebrities that we're having on right now as well, I think. And what a great topic. And just to hang with you, Chris, is always a great day, right?
I appreciate that, Jay.
So I'm being nice to you, dude.
I know. You're in a good mood. I feel that Red Bull behind you. So clearly you've had a couple of those, but we're excited to, we're excited to get into it. We get high octane Jay.
Well, I think you can trade Red Bull for coffee.
I've heard that.
It's about the same, right?
Yeah.
It's about the same. Anyways.
Very cool. Yeah, it is about the same. So let's jump into it.
Is it about the same?
We looked it up. I remember we Googled it in my kitchen to make sure we weren't going to kill you. Yeah.
Exactly. Right?
All right. Wow. Without further ado, welcome. This is the 4th episode of the 2nd season of the Restaurant Tech Show. It might sound serious, but we like to have fun conversations about serious tech. Despite how much fun we had with ChatGPT last month,
that was cool.
They haven't completely.
Dylan, did you see that, Dylan?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And maybe we should bring them on screen there.
Do you want me to bring them in, or do you want to go to commercial? Bring them in. Do you want to do the Oprah thing, or?
You know what? If you're gonna run the open, let's run the open, and then after we will introduce our guests.
There we go. Let's do that. We'll do that, and we'll go right back. 34 seconds. Here we go.
Been through a whole lot, but we overcome. Enemies in our face, but we ain't gon' run. Never drift off course, always stay on mission. Won't slow us down, cause we way too driven. Yet we put in these 10,000 hours. You won't stop us, cause we got the power. Whole world is watching, and I hope they ready. From here on out, we are legendary. We ain't going nowhere. We'll be standing right here until the end of time. Till the end of time. We ain't going nowhere.
Man, that's a solid.
That doesn't do
promo.
That was a pretty heavy, eh?
Honestly, it looked like I was watching like a promo for like a Raptors playoff game or something. Man, I'm pumped.
Yeah, that was.
Did you design that one, Jay, or was that sent to you from the guys?
No, that was sent to me by the folks over at Restaurants Canada, which we are the proud media sponsor of Restaurants Canada show.
I think we're all
2023.
Yeah,
we are all going to be there.
They put our logo. They put our logo beside the Food Network. Like, how honorable is that? Like, I just geeked out over that.
Hey, they put your logo. They put the Food Network's probably thinking, man, we got next to Cisco. That's great.
That's pretty good. No, it's the SVK. It's the Cisco Virtual Kitchen logo. It's not even the Cisco.
Even
logo.
better.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's even better. Exactly. Sorry.
Yeah. Before we get too far, I want to introduce our guests today that we have here from Notch Ordering. So we have Jordan and Dylan here. And before I butcher it, maybe I'll let you guys kind of introduce Notch Ordering and introduce yourselves and introduce Notch Ordering to everyone.
Sure.
Maybe you can start, Jordan. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Hi. Really excited to be here today. My name is Jordan Huck. I'm the CEO at Notch. Notch is a hospitality company that builds software. We really like to lead with that. And essentially, I grew up actually in restaurants, working in places like Hard Rock Cafe, dealing with paper invoices. And we believe there's a better way. So restaurants can actually use our software to digitize, actually get rid of those paper invoices. And once we turn them into digital copies, we can do all kinds of things to make the lives of chefs and operators and accountants much, much easier. And so, we could not be more excited to be here today.
Fantastic. And Dylan, maybe give us a little background on yourself and what you're doing with Notch.
Yeah, so my name's Dylan. Obviously, been forever a restaurant person in the industry, and I feel like I grew up in a restaurant, and I probably will never leave one. But I've been on a sort of a quest in the last, I would say, 4 years to eliminate cash from the ecosystem, and I'm getting, even nerdier this time in eliminating paper invoicing and streamlining a chef and an operator's life to get them back to what they love to do, not what they have to do.
I love that. I mean, I love that line of getting them back, saving people time, saving chefs time to get them back to doing what they love. So that, they because that's, I think, I think, I mean, all the commercials are about that now. When people talk about financing for business, is like, you know everything about, the restaurant except for the business side, and you guys are filling in there.
Yeah.
And I really think, like, especially over the past couple of years, now that you're not just going to a restaurant and doing everything in the restaurant. Now you're expanding out to ordering platforms. You're able to pull in suppliers from new places, and the amount of data that restaurants have to ingest. The world in general produces more data than we can store. So I can only imagine for restaurants trying to look at all these different channels. A tool like yours is essential. And so, like, what types of restaurants are you guys working with, or who's really benefiting from this, or like, what point do they want to bring in something like Notch?
Yeah, I was saying to you, Chris, like, I would say that our sweet spot is the restaurant from 4 doors up to 10, up to 15, and then further past that, obviously the ROI of it just continues to grow greater. But yeah, multi-unit is definitely our sweet spot, but not to say that Notch loves all restaurants. So the QSR that has trouble managing their invoicing, to the small mom and pop, like, hole in the wall bar on Queen West, they all kind of have the same pain points, whether the pain is excruciating or whether it's just a little small cut, it's still pain. So yeah, we're here for everybody, but certainly in the enterprise multi-unit door space is where we've seemed to be excelling in right now.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think, that's a really important point to know, right? When the restaurant gets to a certain point, and I think you guys can talk a little bit more about this, about saving time, but we talk about all the time through looking at a bunch of different solutions, like how much do the owners or the managers value their time. And a lot of times they think if they can do it, it's free, or if they'll just take a couple hours after work to do it, they can. But their time is super valuable, and that time can be applied to other parts of the business. So what type
Chris,
of go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just want to chime in on that.
Yeah.
Because I've been meeting with a lot of chefs lately. Not that I don't every day, but just recently, and the challenges that they're going through right now with inflation and all these different things that they have to pay attention to their menu. Like, we just had a couple shows on our Foodies and Cars show that we had this week, and it is extreme. Like, they're under so much work just to focus on the menu right now and the food, and also that experience of the customer. That doing the other stuff in the back that takes so much time and effort. You're right. I want to go back to what Dylan and Jordan were saying. That whole thing, like, we want them to, ideally, go do what they're supposed to be doing, not this other stuff, is what they were trained on. Have you ever seen a chef with a calculator either? Like, it's pretty tough. I'm not dissing a chef, but that's not their forte, right? It's like me, writing a novel. It's not my forte, right? So it's not what they, and in school a lot of the time, and I know a lot of them will work on that space in schools nowadays, but they weren't before. But a lot of people, it's hard for them in those spaces to sit there and start calculating those things, or doing a lot of things that you guys do. So I love the fact for that. And that our chefs need to be out there creating awesome menus and experiences, and not sitting in those poor little offices in the back. We all sat in those ones, right?
Yep.
And sitting in those poor offices, sitting there for hours and hours trying to do stuff. And it takes them hours because that's not what they were trained to do. They're trained to create amazing dishes and experiences for customers. So
yeah, they're creatives. And I remember, I'm a graduate of chef school myself. I graduated.
There we go. As Dylan's texting me later, Jay, you're dead.
No, 2009, and I think I took one of the courses is costing, and you cost out your menu, right? And at that time, I was like, you can cost out a menu at 30% food costs, and everything hums along beautifully, and there was no inflation, and it was like, it's like, here's the menu, and you remember the restaurants that switch their menu every 5 years? It's just not heard of anymore. Like, you can switch your menu. With a QR code, you can switch your menu and your food costs the next day. And be like, hey, chicken price just went up. My $18 pound of chicken wings is now $21. If the price goes back down, I can readjust it. But the digital world has totally helped restaurants be able to manage that. So that's where Notch kind of wants to play a part in that space.
And that's
now,
Dylan.
Jay, we have pictures with our chefs where they were sitting on a milk crate. That's where they took those paper invoices that came in, and they would manually feed them into inventory management systems, right? Because to Dylan's point, with COVID and supply chain, that's that inflection point for Notch, where you just had this dramatic shift in the supply chain. prices are fluctuating with commodities all the time.
Yeah.
So oysters were X last week. Notch lets you
Yeah.
come in, snap a picture of that invoice. There used to be 3 different painful things I had to do with it. I had to upload it to feed my inventory system. I had to upload it to feed my accounting system. We have pictures of these invoices. They write the GL codes on them to hand them to corporate.
Yeah.
Okay, so write the GL code. That's all done in Notch, right? So we're the first company in the market where I'm going to snap a picture of that invoice. We're going to use machine learning. Who cares how we're doing it, but we're using machine learning behind the scenes. Once we give you an accurate digital copy, now I can literally just like, so I'm going to update pricing for the chef because nobody can have, I guess Cisco can have live pricing on its portal, but for the most part, it's very difficult to get live pricing across your 20 different distributors. So we're going to update the pricing. Now the chef's got the most recent pricing they could have. They want to send a purchase order. Head of operations cares because they understand their COGS. And then the accountant has been able to push it into their accounting system. They used to cut checks. Now with one button, accounts payable, they push it to their supplier. Supplier's paid next day. They get a digital remittance. All that's done with Notch. One snap of the picture takes care of all that workflow.
My part-time job in university was gone. I used to work accounts payable and chief cashier at a hotel. So I've definitely, I know what it's like to sit there and be like, this is so easy, but so long to do.
You're right, Chris. It just takes so much time. It's not hard.
And
it's
just
the
nailed
time
something.
stuff, right? That's huge.
Yep. And you nailed you talk about cost control, like cost of goods sold and all that, and like prices changing, like fluctuating like crazy right now. And just think of how many menus they have to manage now. We're not just talking about the menu in the restaurant. We're talking about the online ordering menu. We're talking about the third-party menus. We're talking about catering menus. So like if that information is in the accounting department, but it doesn't make its way to the chef until next month, well, how much money did you lose? Or, how much money could you have made having the right pricing? And, being able to get that information timely. Like you guys are about getting paid faster, getting information faster. And you guys keep talking about this, I'm going to use the example that Dylan mentioned. Like if anybody's used Expensify or any card reader on your phone, the phone technology, the ability to read what's on that paper now has come so far. You guys probably downloaded the first version of like the card readers on iPhone when they came out, and they were where you had to input the data like to correct it, right? But like nowadays, it's like Expensify. You just snap a picture, it has all the details, it digitizes it, and we're at that point now where this is viable. So restaurateurs should be taking advantage of it.
Yeah, it's become
Chris,
it's normal in the marketplace. Sorry, Jordan. It's just saying it's not a new it's at that spot where it's becoming probably weird if you're still doing it the old school way. Like everything else is centralized on your cell phone and digitized and clean lines and efficient. Why is this last piece of the puzzle still done like old and antiquated, right?
Yeah. And you targeting the types of restaurant sizes and things that you're looking at. I mean, I like to use this example. It's not the most popular when talking to small businesses, but there's a reason why McDonald's gets so big. There's a reason why these, Boston Pizzas and these massive restaurant chains get so big. It's because logistically they are so good. Like they understand all their costs, they're controlling their timing, and they get repeatability. Right. And so a lot of restaurateurs complain when it's like this costs too much and things like that. But there is always more that they can do. Now, they only have so much time in a day, so they need a tool like Notch if they really want to take advantage of it. But when you start to talk to those customers at that 4 or 5 doors and up, it's like this is where you need to take that next step and where you need to mature your model, make it repeatable, make it so simple that especially with staffing changeovers, you don't want to have to train somebody on this system because to your point, it's the last thing they're going to do in their day or their month. So very, very cool what you guys are helping with. And I will also say it's great to hear that you guys both been in the industry for so long. You're not accountants saying, hey, I wonder if we can apply accounting to the restaurant industry from the accounting side. You're doing it from the restaurant side. You've been in the kitchen. You've been in those luxurious small offices, in those milk crates. So very, very cool. I think, you talked about this concept of paying faster. So maybe can you talk a little bit about what your software does, allowing you to basically receive funds faster, pay faster, and some of the benefits that can have for the restaurants and the relationships with their suppliers?
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I'm happy to. So So we actually have two products here at Notch. So on the front end for our restaurant partners, and again, it's optional. They could still sync into their accounting system. So Chris, you talked about how you were you worked in accounts payable. At one point, you probably did a process called cash application, where payment would go out either via check or manual, and then you'd actually get a chance. Someone would have to go in and apply that cash, like, hey, I paid that vendor for my seafood. And so on the accounts payable side, what we're able to do for for our restaurant partners, let's say they're paying a vendor that the software has never seen before. Not a problem. In 2 clicks, we can get that distributor signed in such that they can receive digital payments. And when I sync a bill into QuickBooks Online, it's going to have my bank information all encrypted. I'll have my bank information. I'll have my credit card information if I want. And I can issue a payment to my suppliers that show up in their bank account the next day. Right. And so I'm able to flow funds instead of cutting checks. And then that bill that was automatically created in a Xero or a QuickBooks Online or a NetSuite or Microsoft Dynamics, the system goes in, the machine goes in and does that cash application, right? It's not, it's not a human being that has to do that.
That's awesome. And
on the distributor side, I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, keep going. Nailing it.
On the distributor side, we worked with, because we built up this big network over time, right? As we kept through COVID, and we kept building, and we had an ordering product, and the core of Notch now is an invoicing product that has a payments module and an ordering module, right? So it all starts with invoices. Kept building. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of distributors on our, on that network, and we would meet with them and we'd work with them, and we say, well, how can we help you? Like, what makes you want to work with Notch? And at first, it was like, well, let's sync the orders. Like, let's get the orders to sync into your systems. Maybe you're using QuickBooks Online, or let's get rid of that process. And that was fine. But the breakthrough, actually came as we were meeting with some of the bigger distributors in Toronto. And we're like, walk us through what it's like to accept payments. We're like, okay, Jordan, so if we have 1,000 customers, the percentage that pay via credit card is up dramatically. And so the way it works when we, accept payments from these credit card buyers is somebody named Joe or Jane on the order desk actually calls Chef Joe at the steakhouse and said, is it okay? Can I process your credit card now? Then they'll turn around and manually place that credit card payment into a payment gateway, like a Moneris or First Data or one of these payment gateways. And then they'll do cash application on their side, right? So I've now received that payment. Let me go in and update it. And what we figured out, and have just had to really, we're just feeling so great about where we're at with that product, because we sit down with our distributors and we're helping, especially as we go into a challenging economic climate here. We're helping with the things that really matter. Like, we'll show up at a distributor office and it's like sitting down at their kitchen table, right? And, well, how can we help you? We can help you collect your money faster. Well, how do we do that? Instead of manually inputting these payments and calling to ask permission, we give them software that integrates, really we just call it a dashboard, that integrates into their existing system. And all we do is take them from push payments, where they'd wait for somebody to call them so they can process a credit card. And every time money's due for an order, we pull the payment.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. It's as simple as an average person setting up automatic payments for all their normal billing. I mean, everybody wants to pay their bills. When I get a call from somebody saying like, hey, you missed a payment, it's like, oh crap, what happened? Did my credit card not sync up? Did I need to switch something out? Oh, well, you know what? I have to upload my new credit card. Right? So
why didn't you automatically pull it, right, Chris? You're like, why are you bothering me? Like, what do you mean? And so this technology does not exist in this segment. And that's why Dylan's here. It's such a big opportunity where we can say, hey, let's move you to pull payments. You don't apply cash anymore. It's done automatically. Credit cards expired from your customer. You don't collect that information. That's automatic. Payment receipts, Jane used to send that on the order desk. That's done automatically. Sending invoices with payment links, Chris, consumer grade, like, oh, I get to click here to pay. We've given that to wholesale distribution.
All right, I love this. And I mean, like, just to sum this up, I mean, you're not even done yet. But I mean, like, you guys have taken super well-defined like processes. You've taken well-defined technology from taking pictures, and then you've applied your years of experience in the restaurant industry to say, now we've actually tuned these well-known tools. You're not, I like to say stuff like automatically, doing things, but it's not like you've created, this like crazy pixie dust. You've used your knowledge and skills to like say, this is the best process. And restaurants are all about great processes. And being able to get paid faster and pay faster, like, I mean, supply chain is tough right now. Costs are crazy. The last thing you want to do is lose a supplier because of an invoicing mess up that was probably completely honest. But like, not only, but it's hard to replace those. And then, we talked about this on a previous show, Jay, about like the new changes coming in with Canadian laws around like one-use plastic. So people are going to have to be onboarding new suppliers and finding new suppliers. So we're only going to be able to,
I think,
yeah.
Can I just jump in on that? I think the other thing is that there's going to be a lot of this new ban on plastics. And by the way, March 2nd, we're having another show on it. There's my plug. There in this and the chef said this today, there is like a potential to 100 to 200, 300 increase in costs associated with these new products they're bringing in to help to deal with or to work with, let's say, the plastic ban. So I think when we look at knowing your cost and knowing all your funding and everything more than anything in that space is going to be critical. If you buy it from us or you buy it from another supplier, you're going to have to be on your A game on that area, because typically, and I always say this, and you guys probably know this is better than I do, but I always say there's some high risk products out there that you need your finger on. And I always use French fries and bread as a high cost risk product because it's low cost, high risk, because people think there's no value there, that, French fries are cheap. I can eat them, or I can, throw them out or whatever. I can misuse them. Bread's the same way. Containers are typically misused a lot of the times, right? Have you ever went into a chef's kitchen and looked at a foam container being used as a pen holder or whatever the case is, or the top of a takeout container is used to make some notes or write an order on? I've seen those things, or napkins. Those things have been misused or I wouldn't say misused, but not maybe used for the proper reason. Yeah, and taken that there's no cost to it. Well, in today's world with inflation and everything else hitting our restaurants so hard, you can't be given the extra stack of napkins in the takeout container, or you can't be using the takeout containers for other purposes. You got to be on top of it. So I think those prices, those increases, and all those things you're doing with those products are so critical that you're on top of it with this. So I just want to shout out on that, because the plastic ban, the cost, I'm blown away that what more people are going to have to eat, I guess, on the cost, right? It's crazy.
Yep. So restaurants need more funds than ever, and those are some funds that they can, either regain or gain by getting some of their time back, right? Because this is what these restaurateurs need to do. It's more competitive. There's higher costs, so they need to be spending more time on that creative part. Because I think that's the thing that, even through the pandemic, I think restaurants went through this thing of like, they had a great restaurant and they had a great process. Now that process has been broken. So the restaurants have been spending the last couple of years in, rebuilding this process. And if you're spending all your time on that, then what suffers is the experience in the restaurant. So we need to help restaurateurs get back to the stuff that has made them great. And it's tools like Notch, and it's addressing these things now and building a strong system that are going to help these restaurateurs succeed. And if they're not, then if they're spending all their time on that milk crate, then unfortunately, despite how good they are or how good they were, they're going to suffer. And it's no fault, no fault of anything that they've done outside of maybe a lack of, taking this next step. Cool. And like, just I think maybe you want to talk a little bit, Dylan. And we talk about saving time. Like, you threw up some pretty solid numbers in our pre-meeting. Do you want to maybe share like some of the time savings that restaurateurs will see?
I think, for sure. I think the testimonials have come in. We work with really beautiful brands like Oliver and Bonacini and Aloe and Maker Pizza, and really reputable companies here in Toronto and across Canada. And what's kind of come back from a chef's perspective is 7 hours a week. And from an ops, 4 hours from her time, from maybe a bev manager's another 2 hours. And then you look at the accounting, which is probably the biggest time suck of all of it, is looking up to 10 to 12 hours in a week. So if you compound all of that across a week, a month, a quarter, a year, you are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings. If you have one store, that's great. But if you have, now let's talk about a brand like an Earl's that has 68 locations in Canada. You know, what kind of a savings is that, right? So there's the power is in efficiency, but also in volume. So if you have more than one door, you're going to get more than enough value of Notch. If you just have the one, 7 hours, 4 hours on the front end and 10 in the back.
And, you know, and I don't care how you value your time, you know, even with minimum wage, you guys are making people money back. But more importantly, it's not just like the hourly wage you're saving. It's literally that creative time and that focus, right? Because I also know that, like, by the time any chef that doesn't do this regularly gets through that, you know, kind of like when I have to do my end of the quarter reporting,
You're wiped.
you're exhausted. Yeah. You're not thinking of what's the next dish coming up, or, hey, maybe I need to change those menus on third party with this updated costing, blah, blah, blah. They just discovered, you know,
just keep pushing it to the next thing till tomorrow. And then tomorrow happens. And I always think about, you know, chefs and why they got into what they do, right? They love to cook. They love to create. They love to sit at the, you know, the cocktail table with the sous chefs and the chef de cuisines and talk about, you know, what can they import for the New Year's Eve dinner, and what can they bring in, and is it going to be maitake mushrooms or chanterelle mushrooms on this dish? And that's where their creative flow and juices come. And if they're being bogged down by doing the, like, you know, the stuff that you can't really, it doesn't create value in their heart, then they start to lose passion, then it shows in their food, and then things just start to kind of spiral from there. So giving them an opportunity to be like, hey, bang, 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 I got my Notch app, and I'm, you know, quick on what I had to get accomplished here, and I can go back to doing what I really wanted to do today. Or maybe it's just going to, like, the you know, garde manger station and teaching a young chef how to perfectly cut a brunoise, right? And, like, actually training your people to be as great as you are, instead of being like, hey man, I don't have time for that because I got to do this, this, and this.
Yep. That's it, right? Being in a restaurant, being in a kitchen is high stress enough, right? The last thing you need is to be stressing about you know, trying to get this reporting done, trying to get the payments out, when all you're trying to do is focus on the service and the hospitality. 100%. There's a ton of value there. And you guys are going to be around. I mean, if people want to find you, I mean, we put up the website. I'm sure they can, you know, contact you if they want to, you know, get a little, you know, I'm sure you guys will do, you know, consultation for them. You guys have, you know, lots of information on there. Maybe it's a bit of a plug. I know we were talking about this earlier. We talked about Restaurants Canada as one of our sponsors, and you guys are you guys looking to attend that? You said you're going to attend that show. You guys are going to be around soon?
We're looking to attend it, Chris, and really, like, champion it, not just show up. So we're doing the booth, obviously, April 10, 11, and 12. And then we're going to do it. I was telling yourself and Jay, we're doing an exclusive hospitality leadership invite-only cocktail party at the top of Hotel X on Tuesday, February 11th, from 5 to 7, right beside the Enercare Center. So you don't have to, like, get bogged down with an Uber to get back into the city to go for dinner. Let Notch take care of you that night. And come upstairs, come by the booth to get a ticket. And Jay, you know, bring as many people as you want. But what we're trying to create here, guys, is a community of all of the beautiful people that work within our industry that we love so much, all coming together and breaking bread, and then learning about all things Notch for what we believe is the future of hospitality management, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we need help. We need help with all this data. There's so much value in it, but data without the context you guys provide is useless. It's just noise, and we don't need any more noise in the kitchen, as you guys know. And so, yeah, so people want to get started with you, they can go to your website, they can contact you. But even better, if they're going to Restaurants Canada, come by the booth, meet the guys, and, you know, get a reward, you know, free ticket to what sounds like it's going to be an incredible time.
Yeah. We hope you guys will be there, Jay and Chris.
I'm definitely going to be,
man.
You know, tagging on.
Well, we want to invite you too, you, Dylan, and yourself, Jordan, is that to come on over to the SEK studio booth, because we're going to be doing shows and recordings there and stuff like that. So we'll be there, and then we'll be coming over on Tuesday
at some point. Yeah,
we'll come crash your party too. So
I think we appreciate it.
I think at this point, Jay, I've crashed every single podcast party you've had. from Manitoba Restaurant Association.
I was gonna say we follow each other around this country.
Yeah, no, it's been good. So I really appreciate the support always, Jay and Chris, in supporting what I'm up to now, and obviously super excited to be on Jordan's team and join the great people at Notch, and
Awesome.
take this next kind of tech stage in stride, and in lockstep with Jordan. But it's going to be really exciting for the next couple of years.
Sounds very cool.
Amazing.
And I mean, you guys have built an incredible solution. You guys have the knowledge, you have the experience. And like I said, it sounds like any restaurant would benefit from having a conversation with you, whether or not they're ready, either to get ready or to be ready, because, some of these processes can be applied to, even the mom and pops to get ready for this, because they still have to deal with that data. But hey, really want to thank you guys for coming on the show today. It was an awesome conversation. I love to see solutions like this in the industry because it's so important,
it's
even
amazing.
though it's not the thing that people see, when they first look at a restaurant, but it is what keeps the lights on. So,
Like that, Chris.
yeah, thanks.
Sounds really smart, dude. You sound so
I don't know.
smart.
I gotta stop the show before I say something silly. But
All right, well,
I think
thanks.
that's everything. Thank you
Thank you
everybody
guys so
for
much.
watching. Thank you for being here. And if you guys like what we're doing, please like and subscribe and follow. There's lots of great posts from Cisco and Jay and the Cisco Virtual Kitchen Network.
So Chris,
All right.
thanks again, Chris, and we'll see you soon. And I want to plug for today. We also, if you are watching today or you do see this later, make sure you watch our Robert Irvine interview.
Oh, it's gonna be very cool.
Which is going to be really cool about his new book. You got to read his book, Chris. Like I just read his book or listened to his book, and
If I read his book, do I get a body like him?
you don't get a
Or
body.
do I have
but
to learn how to cook too?
You get a mindset like him, and I tell you, I've
Yeah.
read a lot of books about this industry. This is one you want to really tap into. So,
Well,
anyways,
they say you can't outwork a bad diet, so maybe that's a secret.
it's not about diet. It's about leadership. It's incredible. It's really good. You'd like it. This is the book that you would like.
All right.
All right.
Sounds
Can I play
good.
my outro music and be quiet? I didn't interrupt you as much as I used to, so you'll be happy with me. Anyways, thanks again,
Anyways,
Chris.
thanks everyone.
Anyways, take care. Here's
Take
that
care.
crazy loud music, Chris. Here we go.